So there's a video going around social media of the evil, vile cretin known as Katie Hopkins. She has the official government information on what you can claim in the UK as a refugee. And she's reading it out, and she's reading all these things that, to be honest, I wasn't aware of. You can claim a house, you can claim £37 for every person, etc., towards food and bills and things like that. And naturally, it's going around being shared by a wide variety of people. And I just wanted to address this because, as usual, along with all the sharing, is this anti-refugee rhetoric, this anti-migrant rhetoric and xenophobia and just blatant hatred and contempt for these people. Now, I've spent a whole load of time arguing the viewpoints of immigration and the benefits of immigration and migration and refugees and how we should help refugees and help migrants. That's fine. I've discussed that. You'll know if you watch my other videos, you'll know what I think about refugees and migrants. But I want to discuss what we're not talking about. Because this whole situation of people, whenever there's a refugee or a migrant crossing the sea, coming into the country, and whenever people mention what refugees get, what migrants get when they come to the country and claim asylum here, from whatever it is they're running from, whenever people talk about that, it reminds me of an imaginary situation. Imagine where you've got a family meal and we're all the kids at the kiddie table sitting around and we're all eating bread and water and we're all arguing, you've got more bread and water, you've got more bread, you've got more water, you've got less water, you've got more water. We're all arguing about who's got the larger loaf of bread or hunk of bread on our table, or who's got more water on our table, at our kiddie table. No one's asking questions about why mummy and daddy over there and uncles and aunties are having a 5-star banquet complete with butlers and gold cutlery. And it also reminds me of the old analogy of, this one isn't mine, of a politician, a refugee or a migrant or an immigrant, whichever one you want it to be, and a builder, all sat around a table. And in the middle of the table, there's 10 pieces of cake. And the politician takes 9 pieces of cake and then leans into the builder's ear and says, watch out for the immigrant, he's after your cake. Exactly what's going on here. We're all arguing amongst ourselves. Poor people arguing about what other poor people are getting. No one's asking about the rich people and what they're getting and the benefits that they're getting from the state, namely corporate tax breaks, subsidies, all this kind of stuff that they get from our pocket, from our state purse. Nobody's asking. All the time you're arguing, this is what migrants get, this is what refugees get, this is what they should get, this is what they shouldn't get, blah, blah, blah. This is what, all the while you're saying, oh, well, why is the refugee getting this when there's a soldier sleeping on the street, blah, 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 etc. You're not asking, well, why is this massive corporation dodging its tax in this country, which would be millions and billions? Why is this media baron having a massive tax break? Why is he based in a tax haven? Why is this billionaire exploiting the working classes by making them work 0-hour contracts and not working minimum wage, like not paying a minimum wage? So the rich and the powerful get away with fucking murder, and the way that they are doing it, one of the ways that they are getting away with it, is they are having you argue about refugees, migrants, foreigners, any other group that they can find, any way that they can find to dig their fingers in and split the poor people apart, keep the working classes fighting amongst themselves. Exactly the same thing with Islam. Whenever you hear about Asian grooming gangs and the subject of Islam and the fact that Islam does this and Islam says that and it's Muslim culture that's causing this thing, all they're doing is they're having you fight about these things, argue about these things, so people, idiots like me, when you say all this shit about Muslims in Islam and refugees and migrants, idiots like me will argue with you and say, no, that's not the case, because we see it differently to you. And then while we're doing that, while I'm saying immigrants bring in benefits to the country, and you're saying, no, they just got benefits, neither one of us is asking, what's the rich man doing over there? And we're both guilty of that. So it's high time we stopped all the shit about refugees, migrants, etc., etc., Islam. Start focusing on the rich and powerful. Because this is what the yellow vest movement is coming out of. Now, a lot of people will say the yellow vest movement is a right-wing, far-right ideology, and yes, far-right members, far-right people have adopted the yellow vest movement, but by and large, ever since it started, the yellow vest movement has been an anti-corporate, not anti-capitalist, anti-neoliberal movement of the rich, of the poor, sorry, but working classes who are sick of the rich and powerful robbing them, ripping them off. They're sick of corruption, sick of greed. That's what the yellow vest movement is. So we need to stop fighting left-wing, right-wing, pro-migrant, anti-migrant, pro-immigration, anti-immigration, liberal, conservative, pro-Islam, anti-Islam, whatever. Stop all the petty infighting about what this group's getting, what that group's getting, about fucking anything. Any issue that involves other working class people, I guarantee you it's being used and twisted to keep you fighting other poor people. Let's face it, you and I are no better off than the immigrant. We have more in common with them than we do with people in government, than we do with people who run the big corporations, who run the banks, who run the media. So it's high time we stopped pinning and blaming all the problems of the country on each other. And I'll make no bones about it, if you actually talk to other ethnic groups, they blame each other as well. If you talk to Asians, they will say there's not enough houses because Romanians are taking them. If you talk to a Romanian, they will say there's not enough houses or jobs because the Asians are taking them. And then I guarantee you some other group will say there's not enough houses because the English have got them all. Every side, all of us, we're being played. Played like a video game. So, let's stop all this silliness about this is what migrants get, this is what this person gets, and all this silliness about whenever there's a fake outrage about some transgender issue, some gay issue, gay marriage, blah, blah, blah. Stop all that, cease all that, for the time being. Because the rich and the powerful are robbing you blind and getting away with it. You know why? Because who owns the media? The rich and powerful. So who owns virtually all of the information you get? The rich and powerful. So they're going to tell you everything that they want you to think. So please, if you're working class, like I consider myself to be, I'm sure there's people out there who would consider me very middle class. If you're working class, like I consider myself to be, turn off the BBC, ITV News, all that stuff. Put down the Sun, the Daily Mail, Telegraph, all the tabloids, Guardian even, I don't care. Put down all those papers and the media and the mainstream media outlets. Turn off idiots like Tommy Robinson, Katie Hopkins, Paul Golding, etc. because they're only fucking recycling it and feeding you exactly what the Tory government and the mainstream media want you to think anyway. Because it's a weird one with them lot, because they take exactly what the Tories are saying, exactly what the Tory media is saying, and they twist it and they make it out like it's not mainstream, and it is. It's exactly the same thing that the Sun is saying, the Daily Mail is saying, the Telegraph is saying. All these newspapers and media outlets that are owned by the mega rich and powerful, Tommy Robinson, Katie Hopkins, Paul Golding, Jada Franson, they're all saying pretty much exactly the same thing, and they're dressing it up like it's some anti-establishment thing, when it's not. You're just buying hook, line and sinker exactly what the establishment want you to think. So turn those idiots off. Pick up a book. Start with history. Study the history of the working classes, how the working classes have been treated throughout history, throughout British history. You don't even have to go across the world. Start in this country. First people enslaved were the working classes. So start studying working class trade union movements and striking and things like that. And actually start thinking for yourself and start thinking, what is actually going on here? What is the bigger picture? Let's stop fighting, stop arguing about this, that and the other, and start thinking about what the people who are actually in charge are doing, what they're getting away with. Because it's very, very, very easy to pick up a copy of the Sun, the Daily Mail, etc. Look at the front cover, see it's about some immigrants, and then hate the immigrants because the paper is telling you that's what you should be doing. Think for yourself. Thanks for watching. See you next time.